What's up, friends? Welcome back to another episode of Trades Talk. Thanks for tuning in. I'm your host today, Justin White. We're going to be unpacking everything there is to unpack in the landscape industry. I got a special guest on the podcast today. Tune in, buckle up, get your notepad ready. We got Jeremy Tallboy in the studio coming all the way from Georgia. Jeremy runs North Landscape Georgia Management, super fast-growing company out of, guess what, North Georgia. And he's going to be on here dropping facts. So, Jeremy, welcome to the podcast, brother.
Hey, Justin, how you doing, man? Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man, I'm doing great. Honestly, I couldn't be better. This industry is just ripping. We're on fire. We've got so much momentum right now. You and I have got to spend a little bit of time in Las Vegas at the technology conference and catch up a bit. That was great. It was great to meet you. I've been following you on social media ever since, and dude, you keep me entertained pretty good over here in California, man. I appreciate all the content.
Yeah, likewise, man. I followed you, like I said, 2 or 3 months prior to when I met you, and you were kind of an inspiration to me. I see you on the other side of the country kind of doing the same thing that we're doing over here. So a lot of the content that you make and the content that I make just cross paths. It's very almost symbiotic. Like you guys are doing the same thing that we're doing over here, and you inspire me. And it was really cool to meet you in Las Vegas. I was a little starstruck. I'm not gonna lie. It's kind of like when I met Mark Bradley for the first time. You kind of shake your hand and get a little nervous, but I appreciate everything you put out, and trust me, I'm watching.
Right on, brother. Hey, I appreciate you too, man. I was watching one of your posts about your weekly payroll and just how much money that really is, and I think people, they don't realize the weight of that sometimes, like here we are chopping it up on a podcast, but in the back of both of our minds, we're thinking sales, we're thinking growth, we're thinking making sure our team can eat every single day. What's that like, man? What's it like having 100 people, that depend on you and honestly your success and put that trust in you?
I mean, it's tough. It's tough from time to time, but it's really rewarding, to be honest with you. It makes me, it gives me a lot of value and a lot of worth. It lets me know that when I wake up in the morning, it's there to remind me that I'm important, and that I need to take every single decision that I make very seriously. When I first started, I was a little kind of fly by the seat of my pants, willy-nilly, and then I had kids, and that's a game changer in itself. You take all your decisions a lot more serious once somebody else enters the room that you're responsible for feeding. So, and then once you get to a certain level and you show up to the shop every day and you see all these people. Now, I tell people all the time, in the peak season we have about 100 people, but they all have families. So it trickles down, and ultimately it's, let's say, 3 or 4 or 500 people that are relying on you. So you're sitting there in front of your computer. Making financial decisions, making investment decisions, strategic decisions, and you got to keep that in the back of your mind that all those people are trusting you to make the right decision to lead the ship. So it can be stressful, but ultimately it's very, very rewarding. Like I said, it gives me purpose, it gives me worth, it gives me value. So I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. It's a tremendous amount of, it's a lot of pressure, but it's also a lot of gratitude and appreciation that those people are putting the trust in the brand of our companies, and they want to show up, and that's where they want to spend their time, spend their life. Yeah. So whenever I tell people, whenever you're feeling burnt out or you're feeling like, I don't even know if I'm going to keep doing this, all you got to do is think about all those people you impact, start writing their names down on a piece of paper and how hard they work. And your burned out concerns just start to fade away, and you realize, like I'm doing this for a way bigger reason than just myself.
Yeah, absolutely. And then think about when you have, your Christmas party, your company events, company cookout, your summer kickoff, and you got all the crews bringing all their little kids, and then you get to meet their little kids, and you become this one big family. It's very rewarding. That's just the best way to put it.
So let's back it up a little bit. When it was just you and an idea coming out of college, and you decided, hey, I'm gonna start a landscape company. And let's go back to that. What was going through your mind in whenever that was, right? That was maybe what, 10, 15 years ago now?
Yeah, 15 years ago. I
Wow.
graduated a little late. I took a little hiatus from college. I quit playing baseball, and I was like, you know what? The only reason I'm in college is to play ball. I'm done playing ball. I'm just going to relax. But I was so close to graduating that I went back and finished. Plus, I was going to be a history teacher, so I had to get my degree. Um, while I was taking time off, I was a golf caddy. I naturally being a baseball player, I gravitated towards golf, and I started caddying at the local club, Bears Best in Atlanta. And I was caddying for a lot of football players and a lot of business owners. And these people would pull up in these $200,000 vehicles with tailored suits and all that. And, you spend 4 or 5 hours with them, you start talking to them, and they're just absolutely loaded, these people. And I, little pattern recognition, I
Yeah.
started putting it together. What do you do for a living? What do you do for a living? I own a blank company, um, all sorts of different companies. And it just kind of hit me that, you know, you can either work for the man or you can be the man. And I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know the direction, but I just knew I wanted to start something. So I went back to college to finish. All I had to do was pass Spanish, which was very difficult for me, ironically.
Yeah, no
Um,
shit.
yeah, right. It's so hard. Once you start having to write paragraphs and stuff, and the professors rip you apart over the stupidest stuff. Anyway, we didn't have cable. Hulu was just coming out. I had a laptop. I was stealing Wi-Fi from the people downstairs, and we were watching Shark Tank. That was about the only thing that was like on the free Hulu at the time. And like Bar Rescue and stuff like those type of entrepreneurial shows on MSNBC. And I just got
Yeah.
the itch, man, that I wanted to start something, and I didn't know. I had no real world experience other than baseball, and I worked in a restaurant, but I knew I didn't want to start a restaurant. That's a tough business. Um, and now I kind of want to start a baseball business of some sort. I really love baseball. My kids play baseball. I love baseball. It's my favorite thing in the world. But back then, didn't have kids. So I just started thinking, what can I do that what industry can I get into that I can learn the fastest? And I just, for whatever reason, picked landscape. Cutting
Mm.
grass, how hard could it be? Laying
Yeah.
sod right, green side up. How difficult could it be? I mean, I was wrong. It's not that easy. But I did it anyway. My dad believed in me. He helped me get started. He got me, or he co-signed on a truck and some equipment, and the rest was on me. And when I tell the story, I tell it. It was probably the dumbest decision that I ever made because I mean I signed on the line and all of a sudden the clock's ticking and I really didn't put a whole lot of thought into it. It was basically a pipe dream. I mean inside of me I I wanted to be successful, but going the landscape route and thinking all that through, I hadn't really done that. I just picked something and went. But I got some advice back in the day, and it was something to the effect of, making the wrong decision or going in the wrong direction fast is better than sitting still and doing nothing. So when I applied that logic to it, it was okay. Just take the leap and go and make adjustments as you go, rather than just kind of sitting there and thinking about it and not taking any action. So yeah, I grabbed a mower and a truck and I started going door to door. And I mean, a lot of things happened between then and now, and here we are. It's crazy, but you know, back to the social media thing. I think a lot of people gravitate towards my page, one because I'm authentic, but because I started with nothing. And a lot of the people that follow me are still at that. I remember those stages that they are in. And I remember looking up to, now I didn't have Instagram back then,
Right.
but I remember looking at people around town, the Goliaths, if you will, and saying,
Yeah.
I want to be like them. I want to compete with them. I didn't have Instagram as a resource back then to follow people like you, and learn tricks of the trade and just get that knowledge every day. I mean, 3, 4, 5 posts a day, following 30 different pages and just absorbing all that knowledge and learning. I had to do it kind of the hard way. So I think that's why people gravitate towards me so much, is because I'm one of those stories where if I can do it, you can do it. Trust me. Because
Yeah.
I had no business cutting grass. I mean, I didn't even cut my own grass. I'm telling you, Justin, it was the dumbest decision that I ever made when I look. What the hell was I thinking? And just to be honest with you, man, I'm super blessed. You know, God has looked out for me the entire way. Um, I mean, I got some stories. I almost cut my leg off with some gas
Oh
shears trying to
God.
trim bushes. That's how inexperienced I was, you know.
Yeah.
But I walked away unscathed, and here I am. So
What
I got a
was
lot of stories to share. Trust me, I
Yeah,
do.
I bet, man. I bet. And so I wonder, one of my questions right off from that story is you seem like the kind of guy that when you come up like when you sign on the dotted line, like you're just going to make it. You're going to make it happen. Like when you
Yeah,
leverage yourself against that amount of adversity, it's almost the
yeah,
best thing you can do for your personal responsiveness because you're now going to be leveraged,
yeah.
externally from the bank. Like I'm going to make that fucking payment no matter what.
That's
Like that is
exactly
going to
right.
be.
That's
So
right.
I can
So
relate to that.
yeah, I do my best work under pressure. I did the same thing in
Yeah.
college. Are you going to give me all semester to write this 30-page paper? Cool. I'm going to wait till the last minute
Yeah.
and
Work
watch
under pressure.
what happens. So,
And I'm
you know,
sure
I
you
kind
do.
of applied that, you know, and sometimes I put the pressure on myself, but that's exactly right. Once you sign on that line, it gets real and you're like, oh shit. All right, but it's cool. Now I got to hold myself to a higher standard and now it's go time, man. But I believe in myself. And you know, when I tell the story, my dad believed in me too, which is um, super awesome. You know, I mean, I wasn't always the most motivated person. I was pretty lazy, but I always had it in me. I was very capable, and my dad used to always tell me, "You can do anything that you put your mind to." Right? And I'm sure you've heard that. I'm sure
Yep.
everybody out there has heard that. Somebody, whether it be a teacher, a mentor, a parent, somebody has told you that you can do anything that you put your mind to, and it is so true. And everybody's different, but a lot of people's issue is they just don't put their mind to whatever it is. But once they find that thing, you know, it's kind of it's something special. So this is when I signed on the dotted line, it was go time, and like I said, the pressure was mounting, and I really just didn't want to embarrass myself and let my dad down, and I just hit the ground running. And but like I said, I got really lucky a lot along the way, and you know, I don't call it luck, I call it blessings. I think there was a bigger plan all along, and you know, I'm not just I'm blessed. So, but
Yep.
I work
Yeah.
really hard.
Yeah. And you're here for a reason. I mean, I think people look at those kind of stories like yours and like mine, and they kind of just say, well, they got lucky, and they were at the right place at the right time. And I think there's a lot of validity for sure to that. But there's no there's no amount of luck that's going to make up for not working hard. It's
That's
like,
right. Let me talk. Let
yeah,
me say something about that.
yeah.
Talking about showing
Let's
up.
hear that.
Yeah, I made a video about this, I don't know, 6, 8 weeks ago about Wally Pipp. Wally Pipp was the first baseman that got replaced by Lou Gehrig because he didn't show up one day because he decided that he wanted to go gamble on horses. So he told the coach that he had a headache, and in stepped Lou Gehrig. Lou Gehrig never missed a game. Iron Man, 2,100 and something consecutive games. The power of showing up, okay? When I saw you at that one dinner, where the hell were we?
It was with Mark Bradley, yeah, in Dallas.
Yeah, in Dallas. That's right.
Yeah.
I coached my kids' baseball team, and we had a tournament that Sunday. You know, they were inviting me to that dinner. I did not want to miss it. That's one of my um, new promises to myself is that I'm going to show up to everything that I'm invited to, industry wise. I'm going to meet people. There's so much value in connections and networking. Stuff that, you know, the things that I really didn't place a whole lot of emphasis in early on, but now I really understand the value of it. Anyway, I had to finagle coaching these games, getting to the championship game, moving flights, moving. Every time we won a game, I'd have to move my flight again just so that I could get there. And lo and behold, I got there at 8 o'clock, right when the food was being served. But I went up to that poster to take a picture of it, and you're sitting there, and you said something to the effect of the name of the game is to get yourself in the right room with the right people. 100%. 100%. And that goes to showing up because I've had in the past opportunities to show up, and I just didn't. I have a little bit of imposter syndrome. I'm not sure of myself. You're entering these rooms with just giants in the industry, and you're nervous and you're shy and all that, so you just don't go. But I found once you start showing up, it gets easier and easier and easier, and every single time you meet somebody else that just has an impact on you, and provides value to you, or vice versa. And that's really the cool part is, and I'm sure you can attest to this, is now I kind of position myself where I'm helping other people. And people are excited to meet me just as much as I am to meet the Mark Bradleys or the Jonathan Potoshniks. And I've told them that face to face, like, the inspiration that you guys have given me, I am now giving back to the game, right? Giving back to the people. And that's a really cool spot to be. But all that to say, you have to show up. You have to show up. Don't be shy, and don't run from these opportunities. When the universe puts these opportunities in front of you, it is now incumbent upon you to walk through that damn door and give it your best shot. So I'll never forget that time I saw you, and you said that because it's funny. I don't know if I told you that night, but I was literally taking a picture of that poster to post it with the caption of exactly what you said. It's something about getting a seat at the right table. But for me, it's getting yourself in the right room in front of the right people. And I pray, that God allows me to say and do the right things. So it's funny when you turned and said that to me. It was just kind of this energy. It was kind of wild. But that is a big thing that I have made a promise to myself moving forward, that I'm not going to miss any opportunities unless there's youth baseball. If there's youth baseball, sorry, I can't make it.
Yeah,
Can't make it.
You got to have your priorities, but you managed to make both of them that weekend, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
The reason I said that to you is because I had taken that same picture about 30 seconds before you walked up.
Really?
Oh,
See?
Yeah, man.
It's funny how it works, man.
Because I'm looking at this poster, right? And shout out to Mark Bradley for putting so many amazing, diverse people in a room.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at all these names. I'm like, oh my gosh, so-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so. So I had to take a picture. And it was just such an incredible moment. I think all of us were in the room. And it's this, Mark does this. It's like this shared sense of gratitude together. Because as inspired and in awe I am of being there with Mark and sitting across the table from him and talking to him, he is reciprocating the same energy. And he'll do that no matter who you are at any time, day or night. It could be 2 or 3 in the morning at one of the events, and it doesn't matter who it is. Like, he will match your energy, and it doesn't matter who your name is or anything. And I think that's what creates so much momentum in that Leanscaper community is truly the visionary at the core of all of it. The nucleus is Mark and the people that he puts around in the same room. I mean, that's really special. Someone who can do that.
Yeah, I agree with that. Mark he's something else. And, I didn't know who he was last year, 12 months ago. I came across an Instagram or something when I started my Instagram page. I started just going and adding everybody that I could in landscape to get inspiration and figure out what this whole niche was about. And he was one of the very first ones that I added. And I started watching his videos, and he was the very first landscape related event that I went to in Orlando, and it was before Leanscaper. I think he announced it at that event, and that was what I was talking about earlier about showing up. I didn't really have the money. I didn't want to leave my family for 3 days and go to where we had just gotten back from Orlando from Christmas. I'm spending all this money, and I think I came home for a week just to fly back down there. But anyway, that was one of those things where it's like, you know what, I'm going to spend however many, it's a couple thousand when you talk about travel and lodging and food and all that stuff, but I'm going to invest in myself, and I'm going to go see what this guy's all about. I liked his energy online. I did a little research on him. I'm like, this guy knows what he's talking about, right? You want to surround yourself with people that have done it. You want to surround yourself with people that have been where you want to go.
Right.
So I said, you know what, I'm going to do it. And I went down there and I learned a lot. I met several people. that I see at every event thereafter. So now we're all friends, and it's this big network of social media people and landscape people. It's really cool. But that was kind of the catalyst. That was my very first event, and I talk about Mark all the time to people. In person, people around here, other landscapers at home. You need it. This guy's the GOAT, man. He knows.
Yeah.
So anytime I'm in a room with him, it's truly special. But you're exactly right. He does. He's very grateful. You see him when he's up there talking, and he gets emotional. I'm the same way when I lead my meetings, and these Monday morning meetings, and I'll start talking about how good we're doing, and thank you guys for caring about me as much as I care about you guys, and I start getting emotional. So I can feel it. We're kind of the same in that respect. But I have a lot of respect for Mark, and I owe him a lot, because I wouldn't be where I am. I wouldn't be on your show right now, I don't think, if it wasn't for that day. There was a lot that happened, the weeks going up to that with, hey, I'm going to start a Instagram page. I have endless content. I got crews all over the place. I can help people, whatever, to now. And I'm really excited about the future too. And the one thing that I really do like about him is like you said, like everyone's kind of a friend to him, and he really does. He wants to help everybody. And I share that. Like I do. There's really nothing more. There's no better feeling than knowing that you helped somebody. You know what I mean? Whether it's financially or with knowledge or, any sort of help that you can help people with. It makes you feel, like I said, it makes you feel worthy. Gives you value.
It does.
It's kind of like the best drug on earth, man, that euphoria that you get.
It truly is, man. And it's hard to not, it's hard to not sound a little overconfident or maybe a little cocky as you say certain things like, oh man, I love helping others. And when they tell me it feels great, it's like, I think people need to embrace that a little bit more. And I think you need to like celebrate that a little bit more. I don't know how people feel about me. I don't really care too much, but like I got a message that I posted today on Instagram from someone who was at a conference on Saturday that I was at in Detroit, Michigan. And he's like, hey man, like, thank you for sharing your story. You inspired me to dream bigger and set a bigger goal. And what I didn't post is him and I going back and forth with me asking what his goals are and him saying he basically completely changed his entire vision for his company over the last 48 hours because he didn't have like much of an education. He didn't think he was worthy of running a big business. And so when I go up there and I tell him the story of me dropping out of high school and then going on to be the CEO of a $20 million company or being the CEO of a $1 million company that we grew to 20, he was like, holy crap. Like you said this just 10 minutes ago, you're like, if I could do it, you could do it. And that like, that literally made my day. I got that text this morning and I had all this to do today, all this work. And I just was like, I'm so stoked. Like, I'm so ready to go and just like do the next thing so I can inspire the next person and share that story. Because when you change someone's life and people come up to you and they're like, hey man, like you said this to me a year ago and guess what? I did it. And guess where I'm at? Like our business doubled. And you're just like, oh my God, man. Like think about all the people that were impacted by that one conversation that we had. It's a special thing, man. It's a special thing. And I hope more people listen to this and I hope more people start turning the phone around on themselves on the job site and just document what you're doing. That's all that you're doing. That's all that I'm doing. We're just documenting our life and we're just sharing it.
Right. Telling the stories and letting everybody know that we're human too, man. And like I said, if we can do it, you can do it. And anybody can do it. So, but it truly is. It's like the euphoria that you get from those messages from people saying that you really helped me. And, I have a direction and clarity on where I'm going because it's the same feeling that I'm sure that these guys, Jonathan Potoshnik and Keith Kalfas and these guys that inspired me. Now I truly understand what it's like to be like that. And it really is. It's great. And now those people that are becoming inspired, they're going to level up and they're going to inspire other people. It's this trickle down effect of success, right? A rising tide lifts all boats. So It's really cool. It's cool to be a part of, man. I'm super blessed that I'm a part of it.
Yeah. What's cool is it's a tradition that goes back generations, right? Like
Sure.
this is how we've learned over the hundreds of years to be better and do more and innovate. But never before has it been so accessible and at such a level where you can actually go from a cell phone with an internet connection. You don't even need, you can just go free Wi-Fi at Starbucks and you can get an
Yeah.
old cell phone for like $100 and a free Instagram account. And you could literally get the most incredible knowledge to like downloaded directly to your phone on YouTube,
That's
on
right.
Instagram, on anything.
That's right.
Like that is so powerful. And that's why I tell people now is the best time to be a landscaper or to be a plumber or an electrician because if you do like if you do have the technical skill, like you started from nothing, no experience, no skill or anything, and look at what you've built. Imagine a 22-year-old who's been literally mowing lawns and digging ditches for the last 6 years since
Yeah.
sophomore in high school. Like they don't realize just how valuable their technical skill is because
That's
all
right.
the other stuff, if you have technical skill and desire and hunger, everything else is learnable and it's almost free. Like you can access it.
Right.
Either of us, if they message us, will respond. You know what I mean? Like I get
Yeah.
back to everyone. I know you do too, and I think that's the cool part. Like where it's super accessible.
Yeah, it's great. I didn't have all this stuff when I started. Like you said, it's the best
Yeah.
time to be a landscaper. We had to do it kind of the hard way, but anybody can, like you said, if you use your tools correctly, right? Anybody can have an Instagram account, but who are you following? Who's your inspiration? What are you injecting into your psyche every single day? Is it? I use Cardi B as like the
Yeah.
the example. Are you following Cardi B and Nicki Minaj and Jay Z and all these people
Kim
and
Kardashian.
right, exactly. And she's getting loaded off of every time you click on
Mm-hmm.
her, which is not really about the money, but the point is like, are you downloading into your brain all this crap, or are you using the tool correctly and finding inspirational stuff? I'll tell you when it first started for me, 2017 ish, when my son was born. Game
Okay.
changer, right? All of a
Yeah.
sudden, it's like you ain't the most important person in your world anymore. You better take this seriously. In addition to that, you have a chance to do something great if you just do it right. And I started listening to motivational people, not landscape specific, but just Steve Harvey, for instance. Steve
Mm-hmm.
Harvey, who knew that man
Right.
was such an inspirational, motivational speaker? But listen to his stories. Listen to when he was sleeping in a car. Listen to the story about the phone call, right? The phone call at 5 o'clock every morning from whatever his name was. Those stories are so wild. But I cleaned up my Instagram and my Facebook and got rid of all the crap, all the music, all the social stuff, and started
Yeah.
focusing it on self improvement, motivational stuff to begin with, and then it was landscape specific stuff, and that's when I really leveled up because from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed, I mean, you're scrolling any chance you get. I mean, it's just the way it is. I'd like to say that it's not, and that I can put my phone down, but I don't. I'm either
Yeah.
looking at emails or whatever. But if you use it correctly, it becomes very beneficial as opposed to uh, otherwise. So, if I can give one piece of advice to the people out there listening, start by cleaning up your feed and just fill your feed full of positive stuff that's going to help you level up in life, in your relationships, in your spirituality, and in your business, and get rid of all the other crap and just watch what happens. Because it's an algorithm, man. Once you start getting into that positive stuff, it's going to flood you with positivity. And I mean, common sense will tell you that's not a bad thing. So that's when I
That's
really noticed it. And it's super awesome. And I'll continue to do stuff like that. But, Mark Bradley and Jonathan Kotoshnik and you and me, we're those people, right? Like we can be part of somebody's story where they cleaned up their feed and they started seeing people like us and all the rest of the gang, and it provides hope to people.
it does. And I really, really think that's great advice. And I think everyone should listen to that and test it out. I mean, worst case scenario, It's too much positivity for you, and you have to tone it back. It's like it's so much easier. I'm too many sunshines and rainbows and butterflies and rabbits in my feed. But
That's it.
Gary Vee, I was listening to his keynote. Which, if you guys get a chance, go to YouTube, type in Gary Vee keynote at the Aspire conference about 6 months ago in San Francisco. Mind blowing in terms of social media and AI and what's coming. And he's been pretty damn like dead on with stuff over the years. And he said the same thing you did, Jer. He said, look, you need to look and audit your feed regularly because whatever you're putting into it, it's going to give you back out. So if you hate your job and you're, pissed off at this and you are partying a lot, you're going to get that algorithm and it's just going to create more and more of that. And if you change that and you go positive and you start actually being intentional about your feed, which if we're going to consume all the content on these social media platforms that we do, why would you not be intentional about what you consume? And it's not so easy, but anyone could go on right now and start searching motivational content. Tony Robbins, you can start searching what your industry is. You can start searching Simon Sinek and then go into Simon Sinek and then who is he on the podcast with? Okay, go look at that. One podcast I really like is the Diary of the CEO. I forget the host of it, but he's like a UK guy and he's awesome. Stephen Bartlett, and I would say follow him because he has all these amazing people on his podcast and they're all in his Instagram. You then get to follow theirs and it just changes things. You also get to open up your mind a little bit. Nothing against the high school buddies that we grew up with, and I love talking about the football game or whatever with them on Monday, but you've got to realize that the world's a lot bigger than your community that you live in and like where you went to high school, and start building out your algorithm and your following into those areas so you can really understand just the opportunity that's in front of you in your life and in your business. Yeah,
absolutely. And like you said, you can never have too much positivity. I've not met anybody yet that has said, man, my life is too positive. I need some more doom and gloom. But, again, when you tap into that algorithm, it just floods you and it grows exponentially, and you're going to learn something new every day. And that becomes the catalyst to the next level. And you can accomplish anything and everything that you've ever wanted once you make that decision, because right here on your phone, it's going to take you there. Every day, you're going to get one step closer because the algorithm is going to know what you're looking for. And it is your job to train the algorithm to help you, to guide you towards success, because it can do the exact opposite if you let it. So, control it and don't let it control you, and use it for positive navigation is what I call it.
Yeah, I like that. I think no matter what we do on social media, we're often reflecting what we like to consume or what we consume. And I think people struggle with creating content because if all they're following are these big names, right? Jay-Z, Cardi B, as you said, I mean, it's really hard to replicate that type of content because they have marketing teams that are spending tens of 20 millions every year building this creative network. But if you're following the everyday guy who's managing his own social or her own social, and they're talking about business, positivity, and then all of a sudden building your own social platform and putting content out as a creator instead of just a consumer becomes a lot easier because you're not comparing yourself to the $50 million ad that they put out. You're comparing yourself to, Jeremy Tallboy and Justin White on their cell phones, like getting out of a meeting and being like, you guys want to believe this shit, and you could replicate that. We all go through challenges.
All day, every day. That's what it's about. Chronicle your challenges, man, because it's not unique to you. It's not. Everybody can sympathize with it. Everybody can relate to it, which makes it so popular.
So let me ask you.
There's not a lot of people that will allow themselves to be vulnerable enough to put out losses, but people yearn for that. They really do. It humanizes you.
I think I'm a part of the CEO peer group called Vistage. And when we talk every year about why we're in Vistage, we all kind of say the same thing in one way or the other, which is I didn't realize that there's other people going through the same challenges I'm going through, and going to
Yeah.
Vistage every month and venting a little bit as a CEO makes me realize like everyone has the same challenges, and it's not me, it's just business. And
Yeah.
if we didn't have these challenges, then no one would pay us to do our job. So I'm glad that we do
That's
have these
right.
challenges.
That's right. I agree.
How does your team approach, or what's their take on what's their take on you doing all the social media? Do they have an opinion on it? Do they give you shit or what?
So I try to start incorporating them a little
Yeah,
bit so
yeah,
that they
yeah.
can join in on the fun. I posted one of my account managers the other day out in the shop. We were having our meeting, and he's like, "I got to take this call." And he walked out to the shop, and he's on the phone for like 30 minutes. One of our it's an HOA client. You deal with HOAs,
Yep.
right? The client profile for HOAs is something different. They're very needy, unreasonable at times, yada yada yada. So anyway, he's out in the shop, and he is just trying to put this HOA board member's mind at ease that it's going to be okay. Trust me, it's going to be okay. But anyway, he's pacing around, and he's just getting it from her, and not in a bad way. It's just they're always scared about something. But anyway, I posted him. I was just like, look at him out there, just dude. He's such an all-star, and absolutely, my whole team is a bunch of all-stars. I'm super blessed to have the team that I have, and I've kissed a lot of frogs to get to where I'm at now. A lot of people have come through that door that were not all-stars, but it helped us grow. Anyway, I posted the video of him, and it got like 20,000 views in like 2 hours, and
Yeah.
so I'm starting to like incorporate them and let them get in on the action, but they tease me about it. To answer
Oh
your
yeah.
question, my director of business development, Lauren, absolute all star. I mean, she has, just to put it into perspective, she has grown our maintenance division by 50% in the last 12 months, revenue
Wow.
wise. Um, yeah, absolutely. The best hire, the best addition that I think I've ever made. And she actually came from multifamily. She was a multifamily manager, so she understands that side of the industry. A lot of the new accounts that she's brought us are multifamily accounts just from her network. Anyway, the point of
Right.
that is she's always like, "Don't let your head get so big. You're a celebrity. This, that," and like she's always putting it in emails and text messages to my wife and stuff like that. So to answer your question, I get teased a lot about it, man.
Yeah.
They're always like, "Oh, you're a big shot now." I'm really not. But to combat that, I think it's best to just start getting them involved and let them get a little taste of it.
Yeah.
And what I want to do is put together kind of a series where it's on my agenda here for like January, a series of videos and posts where my the people out there can ask them questions instead of asking me questions, because there's a lot of
Nice.
stuff I don't know. Shit, I haven't been out there. I mean, I did last week have to actually go run a job in North Carolina for the first time in a couple of years. I had boots. I was out in the rain. I'm like, dude, what? This shit's for the birds, man. Like, I don't pay these guys enough. But I'm not in the trenches like they are. I still remember the game, but my role is different now. My role is making connections and bringing opportunities to the team and letting them handle the opportunities. So they have a better perspective on the way things are on the inside. So I think it'd be
Right.
really cool to open it up to them and let them, one, get a little taste of what it's like to, I don't know how to put this. I guess feel like they're important, right? Feel like
Create
people want
impact, I
to know
think.
what you want to say.
Yeah.
And then I think it would be really good for the audience as well. Much like if we were to interview your salespeople, your business development, and your account managers and stuff like that, they're going to give different answers than you might. I mean, you might understand it, but you don't know everything that's going on with everybody at all times. So they bring a different perspective, and I think it's going to be really cool. Especially because, like I said, a lot of the people that are following me are kind of where I was 10 years ago. They're trying to get to that second crew or that third crew. They're trying to get out of residential into commercial, and there's
Yep.
there's big speed bumps right there, but once you can get through them, it's like poking a hole in a dam, right? You got this big dam holding all this water. If you could just get that hole through, eventually it's going to break the dam down. And they want to know what it's like to have a group of managers and salespeople. So I think those accounts and those people would get a lot of value from interviewing my team. So I think it'd be really cool. But to answer your question, I get teased a lot, man. So oftentimes I'm like, one more time and you're fired, but I can't fire you because you're so good at your job.
And they know it. They're like,
yeah. So they just keep poking, but it's all in fun. So
I mean, in a funny way, I think when your team has the confidence to give you shit and tease you a little bit, that means you have a really good relationship and you built a strong team.
Yeah. Yeah, we're one big family, and we get along really well. But sometimes we fight like brothers and sisters too.
Oh yeah.
But we're a big family. We tease each other. We win together and we lose together, but we never lose. We only learn, right? So
that's it.
It's fun.
And on that note, learning, what's something that you've learned the most when it comes to building a team? Whether it's a 5-person team or a 50-person team or more, would love your take on that.
Yeah, it's difficult, man. I'll tell you that. And one bad person can spoil the whole fucking thing, man. And I've learned that multiple times. Where you just bring in one person that you see something in them and you think they're going to be a perfect fit, but they just don't mesh personality-wise or management style with the rest of everybody. And it's a fly in the ointment, right? It's a little bit of oil in the water, and it just doesn't mix right. So the one thing that I've learned is look beyond the resume, right? Just because they check every box on the resume, that's important, but that's not the whole story. How can everybody mesh together? Because you can have a group of people whose resume does not add up to all that much, but if they work together as a team and they have, it's important for the leader to share the vision and share the goal. And if they all buy into the goal and they have a work ethic and they believe in the vision and the mission, and they have the right tools to accomplish it, that will go a lot further than a bunch of people that check every box on a resume. So unfortunately, the hard part about that is you don't really know how they're all going to mesh until you get them together, right? True. So that's where the challenge is you don't really get to test drive these new hires, right? You don't just get to throw them in there for a week and see how they mesh. But that's one thing that I've really focused on over the last year or so is making sure that the personalities mesh as well as the
skill sets.
Skill set, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Right. That's just as important, if not more important. So, and it's not easy. So that's one thing I'm focused on and trying to get better at.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think most people know that when they have a bad person, they know it. And so some people follow up questions like, well, how do you know you have a bad person? It's like, well, if you're asking that question, then you probably know, and you probably know who it is as we are talking about this. And that's a tough situation when you got to divide the line between friendship and leadership, between business and personal. Just on Saturday, I was up at Brian Fullerton's event, LAL, and Sam Gimbel was giving a talk, and Sam's such an incredible leader and speaker. And he was talking about this idea of, when you're starting out and you're building a business, like you're building it with your friends, and maybe it's not your friends, but the first 5-7 people are basically your friends because that's kind of just how it happens. And then those people get promoted into leadership positions, and then they pretty much soon, not all, but I would say maybe at least half. In my experience, growing the business from let's say like 2 or 3 million to 15, 20 million, about half of those people will succeed, half won't. And when the half that don't succeed, and you keep them on, you're just like robbing from both of, you're robbing from your current employees. They could probably be much more successful somewhere else, those people that are struggling. And one person is going to bring the whole team down. And it's like, you got to, You got it. That's like next level leadership, man, is when you actually make that decision. It's the hardest day. Those are the hardest days, though, as owners and
Yeah,
CEOs.
so I know what I'm good at, Justin, and I know what I suck at. And I'll tell you, the one thing that I suck at is being able to fire people. And that's not a terrible trait to have. I mean, I'm human. I see the value in every human. I care about people. I get to know them. I get to know their families. I take key employees on vacation with me. I know their families. We take their families out. We become real close, and um, it will cloud your judgment, right? Sometimes you know that somebody needs to go. Like you said, they'll be much more successful in a different organization. But I could never pull the trigger. I just couldn't do it. I cannot. It's a character flaw of mine, whatever you want to call it. I can't look somebody in the eye and tell them that you're no longer welcome here. We got to go different direction. I can't do it. And it has cost me a lot. It really has, because I've stuck with the wrong people for a long time. At the beginning of this year, I finally hired a GM to take a lot of stuff off my plate so that I could travel more and go to events and meet people again, shifting my responsibility from being in the trenches every day and in the computer every day into making connections and networking and bringing opportunities to my team. That's my strategy now. Taking people golfing, taking people to lunch, doing lunch and learns, doing all that stuff, and bringing the opportunity and handing it off to people to get paid to do that. And so in doing that, I was able to hire a GM, and the GM now makes all those hard decisions for me.
Yeah.
And he cleaned house in the first couple of weeks. I mean, it was separation letter after separation letter after separation letter. And one of them was one of my really good friends, an account manager that I care dearly about. I actually baptized him. He's worked with me a couple times, and he's just not quite there yet. We'll just leave it at that. He's very talented. He just loses focus from time to time. And when my GM came in, he texted me after the first meeting and said, how close are you to this person? And I responded, and I was like, why? And he said, you're going to have to make a very tough decision after one Monday morning meeting.
Yeah.
But it was a decision, Justin, that I knew needed to be made. I see the humanity, right? I see the person. I see not just the person, but I know what they could accomplish if they would just get their shit together. Be more organized. Be a little bit more coachable. Stuff like that. I know that you can succeed, and you can succeed with me, and I want you to succeed with me. But there comes a point where it's like, dude, you got to, as my grandmother used to say, shape up or ship out. And I can't keep going down this road. So all that to say, since the GM has come in, he's done a phenomenal job of kind of making sure that we got the right people in the right seats. And if they're not, if somebody comes in and he's quick with it, you got to go, real quick if they're mixing well or if they're doing their job. And he's got really good instinct. My wife, she does all the payroll and all that stuff. She has really good instincts. I like to think I have instincts, but my instincts when it comes to employees is not good because, like I said, that's just the one thing that I'm not good at. I see the person, I see their kids, and it's like, it's almost Thanksgiving. I mean, I know your numbers are terrible, and I'm wasting all this opportunity because you're not closing anything, but I know your kids, and it's the holidays, and I just can't do it. So,
Yeah,
it's
you see
tough,
the good
man.
in it. You see the
Yeah,
opportunity of like they could do better. And
100%, 100%.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's tough.
Yeah. I think that's a really great share there because you're being honest about your capabilities, your strengths, and your
Yeah,
weaknesses. And I think most owners aren't they're not honest with themselves about the fact that they can let someone go when it's time. And you need
yeah,
that second person or that third person in your life, whether it is your spouse, if you're kind of that mom and pop mindset, or it's a
yeah,
GM that you're bringing in at scale. And then the hardest part, man, and kudos to you, is then you got to give them the authority and the ability to make those decisions. You can't be like, here's a GM. Oh, but you can't fire anyone without my permission. Then it's
Yeah.
like, well, are you really do you really have a GM, or do you just have like
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
manager and they're not able to actually do anything?
Yeah, and I'm guilty of that too. I sent out an email
Yeah.
company wide to everybody and said, "Hey, here's our new GM. Here's his background. He had a successful landscape company out on the West Coast, sold it off, moved over here to retire, got bored, decided to come and join our design build side, killed it, and basically was looking around and saying, Jeremy, you need some help, man, and this is what I'm willing to do." So I sent out this company wide email and said, here he is. He's been successful. He does, in all caps, he has the authority to hire and fire, yada, yada, yada. And I'll never
That's
forget, he
big.
came to me. He came to me like, I don't know, a week or two later after that. And it was early summer. And he's like, hey, man, this is how I structured my account managers, my customer service structure. It worked really great, in Oregon. And I would like to do it here. And I looked at him and said, no. I'm like, dude, take all these decisions off my plate. Run this shit. I just want to just go play golf and bring opportunities. And he's like, all right, cool. Here's everything I got. And I was like, nah. But
No, we can't. We can't.
no. That's a little much. That's a little much. Now, it wasn't a bad idea or anything. I do like it. It was just the timing. It was like early summer. It's like, dude,
Yeah,
let's
dude.
shelf that until January. But to your point, hiring somebody to come in and make the decisions and then vetoing them on day one. I'm guilty of that. But again, it was a timing
Guilty.
issue. It was a timing issue.
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't know anyone I don't know a leader that isn't guilty of that, because no matter how much you
Yeah.
try to let go, and I know if
Yeah.
anyone from my team is listening to this right now, they know it's so hard. And it's not because I
Yeah.
mean, some people, they do have this control issue. I have a
Yeah.
passion issue. Like, I'm so passionate about our success that
Yeah.
I just am like, well, wait a minute. I think we should do it like this. But
Yeah.
sometimes I think we should do it like this turns into do this. And
Sure.
that, I think, is the little bit of a
Yeah.
tweak that I'm trying to make in
Yeah,
2026 is,
exactly.
yeah.
Instead of like vetoing something, saying maybe, well, I would like to suggest, consider this. I always call it things to consider. Well, consider this, this, and this. For instance, you want to make this change with this portfolio, but you do know that I worked for 3 years to get that opportunity. I spent X amount of thousands of dollars, lunches, lunch and learns, presentations up on stage. Finally got, a small portfolio from them, a little book of business. Do you really want to do that? I don't think so, because that could, ruffle some feathers, and I don't want to lose that opportunity. But I think the key is, don't give them all unchecked authority immediately. You got to inch them into it, right? And then they build trust through a series of good decisions and good execution. You get more trust, and you're able to step away one step at a time, as opposed to just handing it off and running away. That's just never going to happen. I mean, at least not with me, because again,
No.
I started this with nothing. I've been through everything. I've worked every single position at the building. I've been the mechanic, the sales guy, the ditch digger, customer service, back office, front office. I've done every job. So there's nobody else that can say that at NGLM. So I'm a little bit more invested. But like you said, I'm passionate about it. And the most important thing to me with my company, our company, is our reputation. I want, like, let's say I go to a big presentation, a big lunch and learn for a large property management company, a nationwide property management company. When I go up there and I spend 15, 20 minutes up on stage with the microphone and I'm pitching everybody, when my team leaves, I want everybody to say they're the best. That's what I care about. How do we get there? That's a story for a different day. That's for the Monday morning meetings and the strategy meetings and all that. But that's the ultimate goal, is when they talk about Jeremy, or they talk about NGLM, or they talk about anybody on my team, I want them to say they're the best, because I've heard so many times when I'm at a HOA meeting or a multifamily meeting where they're talking about whoever their current provider is, and it is just bad. It is not good. And I do not want to ever be, in that situation. So that's my goal. And Every decision that I make, that is top of mind for me and for my team. Like I said, I got a really great team right now that shares that vision. So with that being said, it's a little bit more difficult to just pass off all the decisions to other people. Even though I do trust and believe that they have that same vision, they share that same vision. But again, I've been here since day one, so I'm a little bit more invested.
Yeah.
But I think the key is, like I said, just inch yourself away one step at a time to where you can fully divest, not fully divest, but at least relinquish that control. And, you know, through a series of good decisions, they earn the trust, and you can just sit back and go play golf, man, which is the goal.
Yeah, man.
I want to go play golf and take people and like I said, bring opportunities to bring them back to my all-star team, and I tee it up and they hit it out the park, man. It's very simple. It's a very simple strategy.
It's a simple and it's a scalable strategy with that. I've talked to a lot of company owners who are 50, 60, 70 million in revenue, and almost all of those owners have that in common, where they're like the whale hunters, and they bring in 5 to 10 whales a year, and then they're the face of the company, and they're the optimistic energy, they're the vision creator, they are the new hire gets brought in. I'm going to go talk to them and get them pumped up to work here and tell them the story about when we had, you know, no employees or 5 employees. And they can scale that because every opportunity comes in, goes into the funnel, and is handled with such precision and consistency that you get to be known as a company that's not reliant on the owner. And I think in today's world, especially in bigger markets like Atlanta, like this Bay Area we were at in California, the clients are looking for companies that are not so small where the owner is doing everything. That's a liability for them. But they're starting to move away from the big private equity backed brands because they're just like, man, I don't know. They aren't getting good results in those HOA board meetings. And so they're looking for guys like us.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about that just for a second. You know, I get called, and I'm sure you do too, get calls from private equity all the time. I had 2 of them on Friday. Typically, I don't take the calls because I'm not interested at this point. I have no interest in selling my company until I get to a certain point, which I foresee to be 10 years away probably. But on Friday, I decided to take 2 of those calls back to back. Just again, because you don't know what you don't know. It's good experience for if I ever get to that point. You know, I know what to expect. I know the questions they're going to ask. You know, I played golf with Jeff Hartness one time, and you know, he kind of walked me through all that. You know, get all your compliance in order. So it's good to get the experience whether you're interested or not. But the point of this is, I'm excited about private equity being so interested in my competition and me, not because I want to sell to them, but because they have no fucking idea about customer service. They have no idea about it. And they come in and they buy up my competitors and they lose all the damn accounts. And those accounts start coming to me because we focus on customer service. I don't know what it is about this private equity stuff, but they come in and, you know, it's a game. It's a house flipping game to them. They want to invest a bunch of money and cut down payroll, and they lose that personability, and these clients don't want to deal with them anymore because they're not getting the level of service that they hired the previous company. And we are the beneficiary of that because now we're starting to get all the calls when they're like, you know, company X is not taking care of us anymore. And I know the story of company X because I saw it on LinkedIn, you know, 6 months prior or a year prior. And every time I see it now, oh, you recapitalized? Let's go. There's a whole nother bucket in about 6 months that's going to be calling people like me. So, you know, at NGLM, we really focus on the client experience and customer service. And that's something that I really figured out as part of the game to success 5 years ago, maybe. I wish I'd have learned it earlier. I was always the guy that when my phone rang, I didn't want to answer it because I knew I was getting yelled at, right? But from all those experiences, I learned how to get ahead of things. We've structured our management strategies based on multi-touch communication and getting in front of everything and direct communication straight to the HOA board, bypassing the property manager, so on and so forth, so that we have that human relationship. Private equity doesn't operate that way, man. Private equity is dollars and cents, and that's it. And like I said, when you do that, whether you're a big firm or just a mom and pop, if you don't put customer service, communication, and the overall client experience as number one priority, you're going to lose a lot. And I think that's what the PE firms have done, at least from what I've noticed. Just because, like I said, I'm getting all the calls, man. And they're saying, Company X, which I know the story behind Company X, they're not what they used to be. And I said, well, what is it? No communication, chaos, all this stuff. So again, it's exciting for me because I have two options. I can either cash out and sell to them, or I can take advantage and continue growing from their mistakes, right? Their lack of attention to detail. So either road is very beneficial for me and my team. So it's super exciting.
It's a great place to be. And
yeah.
On that note, what I've seen the biggest issue with private equity and strategic acquirers is they take the owner and they typically move him into a different non-client facing position, whether that's business development or more business development in terms of new pipeline generation for more companies in the platform. And I think they underestimate the amount of value that CEO and owner brings. Like imagine you have your GM, but you are still very much a part of the business, whether you're directly communicating with the clients or indirectly through your GM and account managers. And I think if you were removed from the equation completely and said, hey, I don't want you talking to your account managers again, like that's not your job. We got this guy, he's a regional. And so I think that they underestimate the amount of negative impact that has on the client customer service journey. And 100%. The customer service, it just takes one or two times for a customer to have an issue and be like, hey, I need to talk to Justin. And they go, well, it's not Justin anymore. It's Bob. And Bob's in, this other state next by, but he can take your call. He'll call you tomorrow. And they go, I don't, who's Bob? And then 3 of those times, they're done and they're gone. And that's why private equity strategy is acquire, sell, because the organic growth model that they've tried to execute on has not really worked out well because they don't have a selling pitch to an HOA that can compete against you or me.
That's right.
Because what are they going to say? We're going to cut the lawn straighter, keep it greener, we're cheaper. I mean, it's just so far.
To speak to that I do a lot of the HOA sales still. My business development team is really focused on multifamily and facilities, industrial type stuff. Just because the client profile for the HOAs, as we discussed earlier, it's different, and I really understand it. But I use that in my pitch all the time. I say, who are the other bids that you're if you don't mind me asking, who am I competing against? And they'll tell me X and Y pretty much always. And I'm like, oh, X, do you know the owner of X? No, it's the biggest company in the world. Yep. If you had an issue, do you think the owner would come out here and help you with it? Do you think the owner knows your name? And I said, I am the owner. And we're not huge, but we're big enough to handle any of your problems. But to me, you're not just a number. You're a client, you're a relationship, you're a partnership, and you will always have access to me. Now, that doesn't mean to call me and abuse this, but if you ever needed the owner of NGLM, I could be here. And you don't have that luxury with these other two companies. So I use it to my advantage, and they understand that, and it's a winning strategy. I mean, it goes a long way, whether you're selling landscapes or selling groceries, it doesn't matter. That personal touch and that the accessibility to the owner is super valuable, and private equity just doesn't have that, and they've lost that. And like you said, it's acquire because they can't grow organically. They can't really sell. They can only buy up market share. And like I said, maybe one day I'll be for sale, in which I'll still be the beneficiary of it, just in a different way. But as of right now, I see no need to sell, nor do I really even see a need to purchase other companies and acquire myself, because there's so much opportunity out there from PE dropping the ball that we can just all scoop it up. It's almost like backflow.
Yeah.
The water, it was all rushing into PE, and now it's rushing back out to the market because they dropped the ball. They don't understand what the client experience is all about, and hopefully they're not listening because I don't want them to fix it.
I know there's a few listening, but here's what I'll say is the guys that are listening are the guys who are actually trying to fix it. And there are some firms and there are some stand-up, platforms out there that are doing a really good job. The challenge for them is, one, their reputation of PE and what Brightview and other larger conglomerates have done. Number two is the pitch that you just laid out is a winning strategy, and there's really not much they can compete against with that. They have to just bet that they're going to find customers that don't care as much about meeting and dealing with the owners. But at the end of the day, like, I love the level playing field we have. They have what I would consider more capital. They have maybe some quote unquote smarter business people. But what we have is we have that owner mindset. We have that grind mentality. We have that founder mentality where we're going to get out and we're going to make it work and we're going to grind it out of the mud, because that's what we've done our whole career. And it's just fun, like kind of David versus Goliath a little bit in a way.
That's what I was about to say. All I need is a slingshot and a rock, dude. That's all I need. Back me up into a corner, and I do my best work under pressure. So I agree with that, man. And it's always fun to set your sights on something higher, the Goliaths, if you will. It's fun. Game. It's just a game.
It is. It's a great game of business, and you got to play it professionally and play it with respect and dignity. But when you do that and you win, or not, you never win the game, right? It's like the infinite game, like Simon Sinek says. But when you have a good month or a good quarter and you can reward your team financially and otherwise, I think that's the best feeling. And you got to cherish those moments, because you talk to guys who have sold their business. Yeah, they come and go,
man. Peaks and valleys, man. And there's times when you're in the bottom of that valley and you don't think it's ever going to end, and there's no end in sight or whatever, but you just kind of remember all the other times where you thought, how am I going to get out of this? And the old adage, man, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, man. And we never lose, we only learn. But yeah, it's great. It's great. So it really helps to have a wonderful team, which I'm sure you can attest, right? And a bunch of people that show up every day to fight those battles with you, when they could easily take their talents to one of these bigger companies. But they share the vision with you, and they show up to that conference table every Monday morning and say, all right, what are we going to do? You got more rocks for these slingshots or what?
Yeah. Yeah, where are we going to war next?
Yeah, it's great.
If there's one takeaway from this podcast, I think for me, it's the people. Build the right team, hire the right people, and hold on to them. Don't lose them.
Yeah. And in addition, something that we're really working on right now, and to all my team members listening, they're going to laugh. Training. We've always been a kind of a trial by fire type of company, but we're really standardizing our training. We signed up with Greenius and Element. Mark Sedgley's got something really cool going on over there. So we got all that set up and really invest in our team and train everybody. Not only does it help them, right? It is the rocks for their slingshot, but it's also scalable. So that's something we're really focused on right now. So the next time I come and talk to you, we can kind of talk about how that's going, because I've never had a real training program, and we got it all set up today. It's been a long journey, several months of getting it set up. So now it's set up. So 2026 is going to be a year for the ages, I think, because to be as successful as we have been without some of those cornerstones that you need for success. Imagine when we start injecting some of those things. I think the sky's the limit. So. In our next conversation, we'll talk about that.
Perfect. And I would add to that, that's, I think, going to be your rocket fuel to go from, that 10 to 20 mark. Because when we got onto a business management software and we brought on Greenius, that was game changing. And we've pretty much doubled from 10 to 20 million, and we barely added employees. We went from like 100 to 135, 140 employees, but we doubled
Yeah,
our revenue because everybody was able to be more efficient. They knew what the score of
sure.
the game was, thanks to, in your case, LMN. They knew what what the expectations were, and then we gave them the training to actually go and execute those things. And
Right.
that makes all the difference, man. So I mean, we
Sure.
didn't talk too much about the future of where you're going and where Jeremy Tallboy is going to be at in 26 through 2035, but it sounds like you guys got some pretty big stuff cooking.
Yeah, we do. It's super exciting. Super exciting. So can't wait to share it.
All right, man. Well, hey, we end every episode with a trade secret, a little bit of a signature move on this one. So, all the stuff you've given us in the last hour, I'm going to ask for one more nugget, one last, one last parting gift, if you will.
Okay.
What's something you've learned, man, that you want to share?
Yeah, so I can't give you any of my secrets, or they won't be secrets, man. But I will tell you this. Here's one thing for you got to have a reliable CRM, okay? For me, the thing that helped me the most was I use Jobber. Getting Jobber in 2019 to organize everything, to make us much more efficient, all that stuff, keep everything organized, enhance the customer service, communication, client experience. That was it was my biggest mistake, I will say, is not doing that stuff earlier. So anybody out there listening that doesn't have a CRM, I was the kind of guy that when people would call me with a product, I would just say that's $100 a month. I can't afford it, and I didn't really look at the value of it and what it would
Right.
save me or the return that I would get from it. And a CRM, whether it's LMN, Jobber, Service Autopilot, Aspire, whichever one fits your mold, you can never do that too early. Do it sooner rather than later. And that is the one thing that I would go back and change is implementing that as early as possible. I mean, from day one, even if it's yard book for free,
Yeah.
that will help you scale as faster than anything else, in my opinion. Now, as far as an actual trade secret, I'll give you one.
Okay.
I hate sharing this because it's my secret.
Got him. We
All right,
got him,
so
folks. We got him.
yeah, you got me. So I don't know about you where you're at, but for us with the HOAs and the multifamily, their biggest complaint was bushes, their hedges. Our bushes are always overgrown. Or take, for example, a large HOA that has, let's say, 300 townhouses, some manor homes, whatever the case may be, 3 entrances, pool, clubhouse, all that. Most companies, even the bigger companies, they prune all the hedges and the shrubs in sections. You got zone A, zone B, so on and so forth. Your mowing crew comes in and they mow for 5-6 hours, and then they grab hedge trimmers and they hit one zone at a time. Well, the issue with that is the entire community is never tight at one time. And in addition, you'll have homeowners that say, well, my neighbor's hedges look fantastic, and mine do not. Why'd they stop there? Why couldn't they do this? I have family coming in. So it's a very big issue. When I go meet HOAs and I ask them what their biggest pain points are, it's always lack of communication, which is why I say get
Yep.
the CRM as fast as you can, because that will help with your organization and your communication. But the number 2 biggest complaint is always the bushes. So you can use growth inhibitors on the bushes as long as the HOA will allow you to. But my secret, my strategic advantage that nobody here does, and I hope it stays that way, is I have dedicated pruning crews. So we schedule out the prunings. The HOA contracts have 5 prunings, so we schedule it out about every 2 months. In the growing season, it gets a little bit tighter. But anyway, if I have a 6-man crew, instead of having them prune for the last 2 hours of every day, each zone, I took one guy off of each crew, grabbed some flatbeds, filled it up with pruners and blowers and vacuums, and we send them out on a schedule to prune everything. And then while they're pruning everything, some of these properties take 6 guys 5, 6, 7 days. They're large properties. That there's a couple advantages. One, the client is always going to know they're getting what they're paid for. If they're contracted for 5, you know you got 5. You have a schedule. In addition, I know that if they're paying for 5, they're getting 5 because it's scheduled. Without the bushes at the clubhouse, let's say, they might either get pruned 7 times or 4 times. Either which one of those, somebody's getting the short end of the stick. So that was my bright idea to kind of solve that problem and separate myself from the rest, was to create a dedicated pruning crew. So once they prune it, they can spray it with PGRs and keep it tight. They can also do the bed maintenance. We put down some prodiamine in the beds to keep the weeds at bay. So they have more to do than just that. And it has really worked out well. It's a good pitch for me when I meet clients. I always ask them what your biggest pain points are. When they get to the bushes, I say, aha, I got a solution for you. Check this out. And they're always like, that's a really great idea. So I'll say this, I haven't really tracked it profitability wise. I do think I take a little bit of a hit because I'm dispatching a separate crew to the same property. I haven't really run the numbers on it. I do think it costs me a little bit of profit, but I think it bolsters our reputation and the quality of work that we do, which, as I said, is more important to me than the money. The money will follow if you can take care of that stuff. So I don't know if that satisfies a trade secret, but that is my secret. Dedicated pruning crew, man. Yeah, and if you go out and ask to anybody out there listening, if you go to a multifamily or HOA bid, ask them what their biggest pain points are. I guarantee you bushes are one of them. And this is a solution to it. Again, it may cost you a little bit of money, but money's not the most important thing. And if you do things right, the money will follow. So it has really worked out well for us. It's a good pitch, and it works out well throughout the year. You know, we don't really get behind. All of our properties look tight, and like I said, it works out really well. So up until this point, I've always been able to say we're the only one that does that. But now that I've let it out, Justin, I don't know if I'm going to be able to say that very long. So thank you for that.
Yep, we got you. Well, I mean, at least what I say is I like kind of dare everybody to try to change as fast as we change, or as fast as you guys adopt new ideas like that. And the truth is, the competitors, they'll listen to this and they won't do anything about it.
Yeah.
They'll think about it.
Yeah.
They won't make it into the plan.
So I think about that all the time, because there's certain things I don't want to say on my Instagram page because I don't want to train my competition too much. Yeah. And I think of that same idea. Well, a lot of people, they don't take anything that's actionable out of it. They listen to it, they nod their head, and then they go back to the status quo. But the ones that are capable are going to do it. And those are the ones you got to worry about.
Those are the ones that are going to get us.
Yeah, those are the ones you got to worry about. So hopefully they took the day off today. But.
Yeah, man. Well, I love that mindset. There's a buddy of mine in Las Vegas. I won't say his name because he didn't give me permission to share it, but he has a similar strategy.
Cool.
And he actually runs a 15-person crew for his pruning crew, and he's just one crew. But I think the numbers work. So as you guys get into that LMN journey, you're going to actually be able to validate those numbers. And I'm going to have you back, though, like in a year to hear how the LMN journey went, and then we'll have some numbers on that, and we can top shop.
Yeah, well, it works one way or the other. Even if you're paying for it up front, you get it on the back end with retention, with reputation, with referrals, all that stuff. So it ends up paying for itself. And much like everything in business, you kind of got to dish out that money ahead of time and sit back and wait for the return. So, but that's interesting because I have not heard of anybody I thought that was unique to me. I don't know how long he's been doing it. I've been doing it for 3 years now. So if he's been doing it longer, then I tip my hat to him for a great idea. But if I've been doing it longer, I feel like it's my idea. But either way, it's a good idea.
I gotta connect you guys sometime. But I don't know how long they've been doing it.
I'd like to shake his hand and say we were on to something, weren't we? So
he was at the Leanscaper in Dallas event, but I don't think you guys connected. Are you going to any of the Leanscaper events next year?
Yeah, so I feel bad because I feel like up until this point I've been a freeloader. I'm super excited about it. I believe in the product. I believe in Mark Bradley. I love all the people that he has working for him. They treat me so great. Right. You know, God, they spoiled the hell out of me. And I'm just like, dude, I can't afford it right because I have a budget for 2025. I found you guys out like in the first quarter. You guys aren't in my numbers and it's not cheap, but I do understand the value of it. So, they spoil me with all sorts of things and they're just so gracious to me, but I have not signed up with them. And I keep telling Paul, January, when I get with the CFO and we redo our numbers for 2026, I'm going to make sure that money's in there in the budget. And we pull it from somewhere else, whatever the case may be. So to answer your question, no, I've not signed up yet, but I have, I went to Dallas, I went to Orlando. I've done the 2-week trial with the sprints, the weekly sprints. Phenomenal. Had my whole team involved, and they were just pumped up. I mean, they were ready to run through a wall after that. So I look forward to it. We have been using again, like a freeloader, all the free stuff. Doing all the SOPs, getting all sorts of everything in there and ready to go for January when we actually become part of the team. That there's a lot of resources already loaded in there. But I am super excited about it. Like I said, I totally believe in the product. I believe in the vision, and I believe most importantly in the people behind it.
Right.
I can't tell you how much I'm inspired by Mark and his whole team of people. They're just it's fantastic. It's inspiring. It gives me energy. It gives me hope. All that stuff. So I'm super excited. 2026 is going to be phenomenal.
Yeah, man.
And I can't wait to get going.
Well, I'll look forward to seeing you at some events. I'll be in the one in Scottsdale in January, and we're taking a big leap on the K&D side, and in a similar way because we've built so many other systems and we're on EOS and everything, but we're making a big pivot, and I haven't quite announced that publicly exactly what that means, but we're
so. Can I ask you? I mean, you've been on so this is how I came about. I learned about EOS and traction.
Yeah.
This all came together like in January. Well, like I said, when I really made a push to get all that crap off my Instagram and really focus on stuff that's going to help me level up. And, the traction came about and reading into the EOS and all that stuff. And then Leanscaper came and I was all in on EOS trying to learn it. And I posted on my LinkedIn and I had clients of mine, big fish of mine reaching out to me saying, we're on EOS, let me help you. And that really bolstered our relationship, right? Now they're like, dude, I really trust Jeremy. Like he understands what's up. And then Leanscaper came and I'm like, this is like EOS, but like for landscapers. So, I mean, how do you see that? How do you like EOS and what has it done for you and what are the parallels with Leanscaper and all that?
So I think first off, EOS is great and any operating system honestly is great. Like Ken Thomas with Envisor, they've got a thing called the Green Dot operating system. Any operating system that you can bring into your business is going to be better than none. So first and foremost, we brought EOS in 2018. And it changed our world. I mean, it changed. I believe it changed everything about the trajectory of our company and how we got here. Right. We had core values. We had some stuff because we ran off the Rockefeller habits and the Vern Harnish methodology, which is similar to EOS. But when we got EOS, it was simpler and just easier for our team to execute, and we went all in on it. And still to this day, every new hire reads, "What the heck is EOS?" We've got it in Spanish, we've got it in English. Everyone reads it. And we practice it diligently, weekly meetings, quarterly planning sessions, everything. And so how I see Leanscaper is taking the principles of an operating system, which most people understand EOS, so we'll just use that as an example, adjusting those principles to meet what Mark believes to be the future of a landscapes company. And what I really like what Mark's doing is I compare it to shooting skeet. You don't want to shoot out the target, you want to shoot where it's going.
Sure.
Mark is creating an operating system for the company of the future. And so a lot of people are having a hard time understanding Leanscaper, even myself to some degree, But after spending many, many, many days and nights and dinners and late nights with Mark, going skiing with him and stuff, and being able to really talk to him at a deep level, um, I understand more of it now. But there's still things that I'm wrapping my head around, and the
Yeah.
reason is because he's not building an operating system for a 2025 landscape company. He's building
Yeah.
an operating system based on what he believes a landscape company is going to look like in the next 3 to 5 years. And
Yeah.
I think that is their biggest strategic advantage. And the other strategic advantage he has, and he said this on stage, he doesn't have any real investors. And there's no one saying he has to do this or he has to do this
Yeah.
or he can't do that or he can't offer this. And that is just like you and I selling to an HOA saying, hey, we're the owner. You want to talk to
Sure.
me? I'm the owner. And what does Mark say to every single person that joins Leanscaper is like, dude, if you need help, like I will come
Yeah.
and like I will come to you or you come to me.
Yeah.
I'll invite you to my house in Canada and you can come meet with me. And
Yeah.
so I think that's the advantage Leanscaper has over EOS today and why we're considering really going all in and moving away from EOS, which we
Yeah.
haven't
So
fully decided or publicized, but that's the direction
yeah,
we're
and
heading.
that's what I
Yeah.
wanted to ask you. When I was in Dallas, I was sitting at a table with several guys that ran EOS, and one of them, their brother was an implementer, and I had a implementation meeting already set up before I went to Dallas, and I postponed it. So
Right. Okay.
I started seeing the similarities, and I'm like, do I really want to pay for both? I mean, I would prefer a landscape specific EOS if there is such a thing. And again, I'm still really wet behind the ears when it comes to this. I'm just learning from you guys, right? I'm on LinkedIn. I'm seeing it, and once you get in the algorithm, you start seeing more. So, but I do know that it is one of the foundations of so many successful companies. So it's something that needs to be on my agenda. But again, as soon as I started hitting the ground running with it and getting the ball rolling on it, here came Leanscaper, and I definitely don't want to do both. So I think you kind of answered my question, but. It's exciting, man.
Yeah.
In January, I'm gonna go ahead and put it in the budget and sign up, and hopefully it does what I think it's going to do. Now we do a lot of that stuff, the weekly meetings and the quarterly strategic meetings and all that stuff. But there's so much I don't know what I don't know. There's so much more. But what I do know is it's at the foundation of so many successful companies that you either implement it or you get left behind. So it's exciting, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an exciting time, man. And I think when I look at any operating system that you guys roll out, whether it's Leanscape or EOS or something else, I believe you guys are going to be successful no matter what it
100%.
is. It's just a matter of my decision making paradox is who do I want to spend time with? What conferences do I want to go to? I've been to the EOS conferences. They're fantastic. Like they're really, really great. I've gone to Leanscaper events. If I had a choice, I'd go to Leanscaper over the EOS. Simply put,
Yep.
I fucking love landscaping and I've decided to
Yep.
make this my home for now. And so that's where my decision was swayed more towards Leanscaper just simply for that reason. But
Yep.
dude, you know
I
what's
share
cool?
that.
Yeah. I was just gonna say like I'm putting this in the episode. Like this is great stuff for people to listen to, just us like going through this process because I think a lot of people have these same questions and I
Yeah.
appreciate you answering and being candid and open about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime, buddy. Anytime. Well,
All
I
right, guys.
appreciate you having me on, man.
Yeah. Oh man, thanks for coming on. Thanks for hanging out. Hey, look, how can people find you, man? You're on Instagram, you're on LinkedIn, you're all over the place. Jeremy Tallboy. But what's your
Yeah.
handle? How can people give you a follow?
Yeah. So on Instagram, it's Instagram.com landscape_tycoon. I got that because I have no formal business training whatsoever. I just threw myself into this. And I tell people all the time, the only real business training I had was when I was a kid playing a video game that you might remember. It was called Roller Coaster Tycoon, or Dino Park Tycoon was the original, where you got to buy dinosaurs and set the ticket prices. And I remember the first dinosaur I bought was like a T-Rex, and I went bankrupt. So, that was my formal business. Yeah, that was my business training. I bought a T-Rex. I made the ticket prices like $400 a pop, and nobody showed up. But the name of the game was Dino Park Tycoon. It has always stuck with me. So being a landscaper, I just thought it was a cool name. So on Instagram, landscape_tycoon. And then on LinkedIn, LinkedIn is a lot more professional. That's for me getting in front of my clients. And it's just Jeremy Talboy and North Georgia Landscape Management. But if you're up and coming and you follow me or Justin on LinkedIn, you will see a lot of strategy stuff, stuff that I don't necessarily share on my Instagram, sort of secret stuff. But if you watch our moves on LinkedIn, you can kind of piece it together and kind of see what strategies work and what we're doing now. So that's where you can find me. And as you said earlier, on my Instagram, I do answer all my messages. We get tons of them. I try to set aside about an hour or two a week to answer everybody. And so if you have any sort of questions or you want to ask me anything, just send them out and I will get to you. I appreciate everybody that follows me and listens to me, and just trying to do my part for those that taught me long ago. So
yes, sir. I love it, man. Keeping the energy going, feeding the next generation, and disrupting things a little bit along the way.
That's right. All
right, brother. We'll talk soon. I'll have you back here, and we'll hear about your green ESLMN journeys.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate it, man. Have a good one.
Thanks for tuning in to Trades Talk, where the next generation of disruptors comes to raise the bar. If you got value from today's episode, share it with someone in the trades who's ready to level up. For more tools, insights, and community, follow host Justin White and join the movement at jwhitegroup.com.